Thank you for auditing the always positive new music review show hosted by a French professor who's going to be releasing at least one, if not two, or maybe three videos in total about Live at Bush Hall by Black Country New Road, the new concert video which for the moment is exclusively on youtube.com. Now, I'm going to put a timestamp in the title of the video and right at the top of the description if you want to jump right to my sort of analysis of this music, of this performance, a little bit more, strict musical criticism kind of thing. But if you want to stick around before then, if you want to stick around and sort of see my process, sort of general questions that I have about the show, I'm going to be theming everything of this review around the general question, which is, what is this, Reggie?
What is this, Reggie?
What is this? What is this live concert video? I know that seems like a silly question. It's a live concert video, but we really have to ask ourselves, what is this, Reggie?
What is this, Reggie?
So, here's my little thing about why I'm happy this exists. So, as you probably know, I think most of my subscriptions come from Black Country New Road fans and hip-hop fans. So, hi to those of you who are members of both of those crew or one. I love Black Country New Road. In my opinion, they are the best rock band out there right now. I think they're doing the most interesting stuff. I think they're the most vital. They're doing the most interesting things. I had the chance to interview them last year, which did great things for my channel, and is also probably the coolest thing I'll ever do. But when they came up to America for a concert, they played in New York, and I'm like 6 hours away from New York City. I live in New York State, but not near New York City. If you're from England, that's incomprehensible that our country can be so big, but that's our country. And I didn't see them. And I sort of get the sense that maybe if I tried, I could have maybe squeezed in some kind of press pass or something. I could have been Mr. Cool Guy in New York and gotten an Airbnb in Brownsville. I don't know what I would have done. I would have done something cool. But instead of seeing Black Country New Road on this tour, I took my daughter to see My Chemical Romance, a concert that's been rescheduled a couple times because of COVID, and that was the right move. I am before a music critic and lover. I am, of course, a father. She'd never seen her favorite band from 5 years ago. So instead of seeing my favorite rock band, I saw what could generously be called a nostalgia show for aging millennials. But, that's nothing new, me missing shows. I didn't see Daft Punk in 97 or in 2007 just because I was a dick. I don't know. I just didn't see it. I've seen a lot of great shows, but the difference with this is that I knew I was missing out on something. I knew that what they were doing now was very important and very interesting because they were recording all new songs. So Ants From Up There is my favorite album of last year, one of my favorite albums I've ever reviewed, if not my favorite album I've ever reviewed. I spent so much time thinking about it, and here's their chance to perform it live, but Isaac, the lead singer, left right as the album was released, and so they did what is one of the coolest flexes in music history. They just wrote a whole bunch of new music and only performed that new music post-Isaac. It's incredible. It would be like if I can't even tell you what it would be like. It's impossible to say because he was one of the primary songwriters and he was the lead singer. It's unbelievable they were able to do this. But that's part of what makes me say, what is this, Reggie?
What is this, Reggie?
Because, how can that exist, how can they have done that? It's truly amazing. So is this just a way to show that they were able to do that? I'm so thankful because I only listen to what they release. Okay, Black Country New Road has a lot of very, very deep fans who go deep into the lore. I'm proud to say I made it onto the Black Country New Road iceberg. I'm pretty low there. I'd like to be a little bit higher on the iceberg. If you could smash the like button and subscribe to this video and share it with other Black Country New Road fans that you have. But they have very, very passionate fans. And at times it seems as though that can be oppressive to the band, and at times it can be oppressive to people who talk about them as well, because there's this kind of, not quite a cult, but definitely just a very, very passionate fan base that sort of only listens to them, or basically only listens to them, and doesn't understand how anybody doesn't feel exactly the way they feel, including the band itself. So all these songs have been out there. You think they're not on my algorithm? I see it all the time. All the time. New Black Country New Road song. And I see it. And I want to click on it. But I want to respect the band. I want to respect the band. I want to respect that when they release something, they release it. Now, I know they're not against bootleggers. They're not Metallica out there, punching Napster in the face. But at the same time, like, they're a good enough band that I don't want to have that kind of relationship with them. The sort of, oh, did you hear the bootleg that they played in Indianapolis? It was a way better version of Basketball Shoes. I'm not into that. I respect it, but I'm not into it. So I understood there was a very real chance I would never hear these songs. I mean, you all know that Kanye is one of my favorite artists. I have the same, not one of my favorite human beings, but one of my favorite artists. I have the same relationship to Kanye. So he has like 2 or 3 albums out there, TurboGrafx and Yandhi. I've just never heard the songs. When he releases them, I will hear them. So I thought I was never going to hear this music ever. I thought it was going to exist for this tour, and they are a cool enough band with enough artistic insight and creativity to just make another album and just have this music exist solely for that period of time. That period of mourning and transition. Spoiler, that's the basic way I'm going to be structuring this video. Mourning and transition. So when I said I might do 2 or 3 videos about this music, I might. I mean, if Ninja Tune, their record label, were to announce that on March 24th, they are releasing this music under the banner Friends Forever, live at Bush Hall, the Black Country New Road sessions, right? Like I could easily see them releasing that as an album. And when they do, that's great. I'll sit there with the lyrics. I'll analyze it. I will treat it the same way I treat something else. But this is not something else. This is not an album. And no matter how pissed you are, as a fan, this is not an album. It's not. So,
What is this, Reggie?
Whatever it is not an album. Nor is it a live album. It's a concert video. I already told you. Now, I've experienced this album a few ways. I had trouble figuring out how to approach it. And this is going to be my advice to you. There's a chance you have not fully engaged with this album yet. It took me a couple times. The first time... So, I'm not only am I a professor of French, I'm also the chair of the Modern Languages and Cultures department for the school where I teach, but do not represent. So I had a meeting with my dean. I like my dean a lot. He's a very good guy. Frustratingly, his first name is not Dean, but what are you going to do? A very nice guy. And I had a meeting with him, and I had to reschedule it from last week because it was supposed to be last week, but my son had his tonsils out, and I had to be there at the surgery. That whole thing, real middle-aged dad stuff. So the meeting was at noon, and the show premiered at noon on the East Coast of America. So what I did, I paid attention to the meeting. Don't worry, I worked on our 4-year plan and our career path and all these important things that we're working on in our department. But I also had the window open. Speaking of window open, there's a fire alarm out the window. So I would just sort of read the comments out the corner of my window. I would sort of see the images. I couldn't hear anything. I was too busy sitting there talking about sabbatical and tenure dossiers, but I'm sitting there and sort of things pop up. I see Geepster over and over again, or Greepster, in reference to the singer from Black Midi. So I'm like, is he going to be involved somehow? I keep seeing, I'm watching the live chat more than I'm watching the video. Lots of Hubert. Okay, I'm like, well, Hubert Farnsworth from Futurama. I see people keep on saying, I'm a pig. I'm like, what does that mean? Then I watch a little bit of the concert, and there I see Tyler the bassist playing with a bow, and then I see Charlie the drummer. And he's wearing full makeup, like some kind of weird ghost. Like, what's going on here? And then I see a song title, Wrong Trousers. I'm like, isn't that a Wallace and Gromit thing? Are they just trying to be as British as possible? Is that their goal? And then I see all these comments about Lewis is Yeet. Lewis is Playboy Cardi. I'm not figuring this out at all. But the thing that I see the most, and this is, by the way, the first time where I go, what is this, Reggie?
What is this, Reggie?
What is this? Like, why are they dressed up differently when I'm looking over here? Why are people talking about being a pig? What is actually going on? But the number one comment that I see for this, and I see everything, is that this is, and I'm quoting a comment here, this is, quote, too good not to be in physical media. So, what does that mean? Too good to not be in physical media. First of all, the premise is a bit flawed because I think it's a live album. So I think it might be too good to be captured by physical media. There's a chance that this compared to what people saw, compared to what people were watching in New York City while I was in Toronto at the goddamn Scotiabank Arena watching emo, like there's a chance that nothing will ever capture it, you know? But then beyond that, like, what is physical media anyways? I mean, I want it too. I want the vinyl. I want the exclusive vinyl. Ninja Tune, I'll order it. You do the box set with the extra recordings that we don't hear, all 3 recordings, all there, and you release them and I'll buy them, okay? Seriously, I'll do it. But there's no indication that there's going to be a physical release. And in that way, I think we all need to get together and come to terms with this question.
What is this, Reggie?
We need to figure out, like, what this thing is. And I think what it is, and I don't know. Sometimes the members of the band watch my videos, which is amazing and humbling and awesome. They have to sit through while I talk about my dogs are snoring over there. So if you hear some sounds, they're in the sun. It's quite nice. So hi, if you're watching. I think, and I'm just reading minds here, that this is the definitive version of these songs, which will never be released. As far as I can tell, they will never have a live album. They will never be in the studio. As far as I can tell, this is it. This is the finished product. And if you can't come to terms with that, that's understandable, but it's unique. So that was my first time listening to this. I didn't hear a single word. I drive home, and I sit at home yesterday at noon. I posted this on Instagram. If you're not following me on Instagram, you can or don't. I don't know how to use that stupid thing. And I watched it sitting on my couch. Now, this was a mistake, because my family loves Black Country New Road, but my wife is building a child seat for the table, because we have an infant. My infant is cooing and making all sorts of noise. She's just singing along. My son's sitting there eating ice cream, and he made this thing. It's black raspberry ice cream with tapioca pudding on top. Man's a genius. And everyone's just kind of distracted, and I'm like sort of enjoying it, but not fully, because there's too much going on around me. Then the next time I listen to it, I don't watch it. I'm at the gym, I'm at the elliptical, and I'm listening on headphones, and I'm like, this is not the same at all. Like, the recording quality, it's clear something will need to be cleaned up if it's going to be released on an album. It doesn't have to be, but it probably should. Maybe the mixing needs to be tweaked a little bit. It doesn't quite sound like the quality of a normal live album, but when you're watching it, you don't notice. So then finally, this morning, I realized what I have to do. If I'm ever going to answer the question of what is this, Reggie, I needed to just sit at home and watch it. I needed to take myself to the concert. So I sat at my kitchen table in front of my big map. I'm not sitting there reading the lyrics. I'm not mastering the songs. I'm sitting right here, Western New York, in a chair at the concert. I'm experiencing the concert as though I am there. I'm not pausing. I'm not rewinding. I am just experiencing. I am trying to bring myself as close as possible to being there in West London watching this concert. So as the video starts, there's all these kind of like 4 people all cut up, and they keep asking, what does Black Country New Road mean to you? And they keep cutting people off, and someone's like smoking weed, and just right off the bat, it just makes you...
What is this, Reggie?
You're just like, what is this? And so I think when I'm going to put forth multiple things that this can be, okay? The easiest answer, a concert video of unreleased material by a band that has changed radically in an abrupt manner. And the important part of this, and the important part of why I think this project is so important, is that Black Country New Road feels like a collective, right? That's part of why they're such an enjoyable band, that they feel like they are friends who hang out and make music. Bands like that should not have a center, okay? Centralized production is great. If you study French history, centralization is the key to power and stability and all that, but it isn't necessarily great in artistic endeavor, especially in this kind of collectivist rock group that they have. So what ended up happening was society pushes a center on a band. Okay, it's what we want. Okay? The same way society pushes people to get married and have kids and pay taxes, society will not allow a band to just be a band. You need the center. And the only way the center is not going to be the guy singing is if it's Dog Star, okay? If it's Keanu Reeves' band, I think he plays bass. And then everyone's watching him play bass and it doesn't matter who's singing, okay? There has to be a center. And I think part of the reason why Isaac felt he had to leave, beyond the psychological aspect, is it ruins the band in a way to have a center. Because I don't think he wants to be center. I don't think he wants to be Robert Plant, okay? I think he just wants to be an instrument. He wants to be the same as someone playing a violin. He just happens to be singing. So the question that's really popping up in this concert video of unreleased material, which is one thing this could be, is the band better now? And it's like better by subtraction, but not because the thing that left was bad, right? It's our fault. It's society's fault for always needing there to be a center. It's not Isaac's fault, the former lead singer. It's not his fault that he was the center. It's just the way that we are. Human beings search for a center. So maybe they are better off now with multiple singers. The thing about this performance, so I've only listened to it 4 times, right? Total. No, 3 times total. But I'm not ready for the level of musicianship here. It's really amazing. That much is clear because they're so precise, but yet there's so much soul and emotion into it. It is, I get what's the joke all the Black Country New Road fans always say is the pinnacle of British engineering or some stupid joke like that. I don't know what. But you get that feeling. Like the amount of emotion that I could feel from material that was new to me. Do you understand how hard that is to be a band playing new music for people? It's really hard. Nobody wants to hear the new stuff. That's just in general. It's like play the hits, okay? They want the fully loaded nachos with all the hits. And if it's not a big band, they want all their favorite songs. So to be able to connect so quickly, so unbelievably quickly to these songs is a testament to their songwriting and especially to their performance. This is a remarkable performance with true precision. They're doing lots of interesting rhythms, lots of interesting interaction. The term that kept on popping into my head was this is a studio on a stage. And this is why Ants from Up There is so great. They got a great producer, Sergio Machetsko, to just let them go and to put the stage into the studio, and here they are putting the studio in the stage. Now, that's one thing it is.
What is this, Reggie?
What is this? This is also like 3 performances with minimal lore spread out over 2 nights in front of crowds of hundreds. Hundreds. So this is a band that plays to thousands. And they're playing in front of hundreds. So why is this? Why are they playing at Bush Gardens, Bush Town, Bush Hall? Bushel. Why are they playing at the Bushel? I think there's a couple reasons. One is the sound quality is great. And if you don't have 1,000 people going, woo, I love you, Taylor, right? That's much better. Also, there's an intimacy. It's also very playful. And also, it's where we're getting into the other aspect of this whole show. Why is Charlie in makeup? Why is one of them in drag, right? Like, why is this? It's because there's 3 storylines. Now, my initial take on this review was I was going to call it The Song Remains the Different. That was going to be a play on Led Zeppelin's live album, The Song Remains the Same, which is actually a concert video. It's a very good concert video. But part of what makes it interesting is they have these interstitial bits where each member of the band has a sort of story. Wow, this light really changed outside. Sorry about that. I can't control the clouds. Oh, Elvis can. So, like, did you know Elvis thought he could control the clouds? He'd stop a car and get out, and he'd go like this and pretend that he could move the clouds. That's what happens when you're the center for too long. So The Song Remains the Same is the Led Zeppelin concert video. And I'm always trying to draw parallels between Black Country New Road and Led Zeppelin. I don't know why I can't stop. And so what I thought would be funny is that because I remember in high school watching The Song Remains the Same with my friend Ben, and we got so into the lore of this video. Like, what is the meaning of the horse? And what is the meaning of the car? And what is the meaning of the wizard? All this goofy, dorky Led Zeppelin-y stuff. And like we got out our papers and we took notes and we tried to do a schematic and try and figure out what it is. To a certain extent, that's what's happening here with these 3 stories. I'm going to go into the 3 stories, but there's 3 stories here, 3 different little mini plays, and part of me wants to be that Black Country mega fan who's going to be sitting there and be like, well, actually, this character's name in this play connects to that character's. No. The truth of The Song Remains the Same is that none of it meant anything. They were just high out of their asses and just made gobbledygook. None of it means anything. You can try to read into the occult and connecting to Aleister Crowley, but no. It's just a bunch of weird English musicians goofing around and putting it into a concert video. Which, this is a bunch of weird British musicians goofing around and putting it into a concert video. So that was my little joke. The song remains the same. The song remains different. But I do think there's a power to that. Hey, Ninja Tune, I'm giving you 2 different titles for this when you release it on vinyl. You can either call it Friends Forever, which is super strong, or The Song Remains the Different. Because it is different, right? It is very different. The band sounds different, but also it's very much the same. It has a lot of the same power, it has a lot of the same emotion, has a lot of the same strengths. So it manages to be the same and different at the same time. So, sorry, you're going to hear my dogs. They're like fighting over the space in the sun. Toby just stole all the sun from Bo. Bo's walking away dejected. Sorry, buddy. So, these 3 little plays, they are important and they're totally irrelevant. Okay? That's how I'd say. They are all written by someone named Hubert Dalcrows. Now, obviously, Hubert is a reference to Hubert Farnsworth. When Isaac left the band, he quoted Hubert. And if you watch some of my older videos, I somehow figured out that he was obsessed with Futurama based on earlier lyrics. It's one of the things that I did that made me smart, but I'm not a smart. I'm just a nerd who's watched the same stuff that he has. But so, very clearly, the Finglonger, there's a whole thing. Watch my older videos if you want to understand the connection between Futurama and Isaac of Black Country New Road. But very clearly, that's a reference to Hubert Farnsworth. But then Dalcrows. Now, that's interesting. Hey, Toby, would you let Bo in there? Look at that. Look at how greedy he is. Look at how greedy he is. Okay, Bo, out. I'm trying to record a video, and you're just way too loud. You're just going to lie there and not even... Oh, man, that's sad. That's sad. See, this is my lore right there. My lore is the dog on the floor. So Dalcrows, I looked it up, and I recognized it because there's a thing. I'm going to read the definition of what Dalcrows is on Wikipedia. Dalcrows Eurythmics teaches concepts of rhythm, structure, and musical expression using movement, and is the concept for which Dalcrows, the person, is best known. It focuses on allowing the student to gain physical awareness and experience of music through training that takes place through all the senses, particularly kinesthetic. Now, weirdly enough, my mom took me to a Eurythmics class when I was probably 7 years old in the Unitarian Church. It had to be Unitarian Church. It's very Unitarian, this idea. I remember being so confused because I knew there was a band called Eurythmics, and then I was in a class called Eurythmics. I walk in, I'm like,
what is this, Reggie?
I had no idea what was going on, but it all kind of makes sense. And it makes sense to have this idea of Eurythmics, meaning like a sort of physical, melodic, musical, physical experience. It sort of makes sense. So we have 3 different plays here, okay? Which I'm going to simplify as prom, pizza, and pastoral, okay? And you have to sort of okay, I did pause. Okay, I did. I paused on the programs that they gave out to get the dates right, okay? So there's 3 shows on 2 nights. First show is the pastoral show. It's called When the Whistle Thins on December 15, 2022. It's all about them being farmers in Somerset. That's someplace in England. I don't know. A lot of sort of gender bending here, only in one direction. The female members are dressed up as males a couple times. Let's see, there's Richard Dawson is what Tyler the bass player is. May is called Old Man something. And then we have the introduction of Charlie the drummer being called Wegham. I'm probably going to only refer to Charlie as Wegham for the remainder of this video and the rest of my life. The second show, the Pizza Show, it was the early show on the 16th. Now, what's interesting is that first show only has 2 songs on this performance. The Pizza Show has 4. So this is the most represented, which makes you think this is probably the best show. It's called Alfredo No Ghosts. Play on I ain't Alfredo No Ghosts. A play on I Ain't Afraid of No Ghosts. It's like about the ghost of about a pizza shop owner who gets ashamed of being haunted by a ghost. I suspect that there might be a little bit of Five Nights at Freddy's influence going on here. I don't know. This is the best pizza in the world, by the way, Pontillo's Pizza, upstate New York. Western New York. It's very good. A little play on words here where May's character is Stephanie Malkmus, reference to the lead singer, the center of Pavement. I don't really know there. Luke Mark is named Jack Ryan, which is just funny because there's our 4 first names there. And we'll get more into the details of what that set looks like, because each of these has a different set and different costumes. The third show is the late show of the 16th. That's what I call the prom show with a class of 81 banner. And this is like the idea that it's the last night of school in Somerset again, someplace in England, who knows. And they're celebrating and they're playing pranks on their teachers and all kind of dressed up in formal wear. This makes sense as the culminating event. Lots of pearls and fancy suits and crowns. Definitely starting right off.
What is this, Reggie?
Lewis gets on the mic and says, "Guys, listen up to your prom king. Fuck the dean." Imagine my surprise when I didn't get to watch this the first time because I was talking to my dean, and the guy who's on the microphone, because there's no center anymore to Black Country New Road, fortunately, one of the members of the band tells me, "Fuck the dean." Now, again, I like my dean, but still it's pretty funny. Also, they don't have proms in England, right? So this is based on American high schools, I assume. And we don't have deans in high schools. We have principals and vice principals. The secret is the principal is always nice, the vice principal is the heavy. He's the big jerk. So now that we've sort of established what it is, sort of in form, the final question before I really get to analyzing the tracks song by song by song by song is, what is the artistic function? What is the purpose of this for the band Black Country New Road?
What is this, Reggie?
First of all, it is a proof of concept. The band can exist without Isaac. Is that the primary function? I don't know.
What is this, Reggie?
It is also a tryout. Who will be their lead singer? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe not. Will they have a lead singer? It's interesting, right? Everyone has their favorite of the new singers, right? I have mine. I'm not going to tell you till the end. I might not ever tell you because I don't want to upset the other 2. No, I am going to tell you because I'm a music cricket. God damn it. But is that what this is? Are they trying to figure out who shall be the new center? Hopefully that's not it.
What is this, Reggie?
I think most clearly this exists as a breakup album. There's a lot of great breakup albums about breaking up. And this is about breaking up with Isaac. Now, there are songs about other things as well, but it really feels like most of this album is about that. And I think that's perhaps why it shouldn't be recorded. Maybe it should just exist as personal catharsis for the band. And if we want to be in there hanging out with them while they go through this catharsis, cool. But it's not for the first time. It's not Ants from Up There. It's some other thing. It is a masterpiece of mourning and transformation. Mourning the loss of the band, mourning the loss of what it was, and transformation into what it is. But what's cool is that it isn't fully transformed. It's not Optimus Prime and it's not an 18-wheeler. It's in between. So we're right there. We're not done with the transformation. But maybe,
What is this, Reggie?
maybe this is prep for a new album. Maybe I'm totally wrong. Okay? Maybe they're going to jump on over to the Isle of Wight and get their legs all wet and record another album. Hey, Sergio, let's go. Let's do it again. Still Ants. That could be the name of the album. Still Ants. More Ants. That'd be even better. More ants with Black Country New Road. Maybe that's what they're going to do. Because the other thing is, it's not like these are bad songs. These are all good songs. I don't know what they would look like when they're done in the studio, you know? Or maybe, again, it's a live album, Friends Forever. The song Remains the Different by Black Country New Road, coming out March 24th on Ninja Tune Records, okay? Maybe it's all those things. Now that we have established all the different things it is and could be, maybe I should actually talk about the music. I'm almost at 30 minutes here, so I'm just going to ride that out. We got 5 seconds left. Hi, you missed me talk all about a whole bunch of theories. It was pretty good. Hey, in the comments, tell the people who skipped here what they missed, because they missed some great stuff. Okay, mostly it was just me playing this sound clip over and over again.
What is this, Reggie?
But that was about it. I'm now going to get to the songs, song by song by song. The first track is called Up Song. This has Tyler singing, the bass player. And this is from the Prom concert. So that is the third of the 3 concerts, the second show on the second night. It's interesting that they start with the end. This song, the catchiest song that is played, the song that is stuck in my head, has this brief intro, the saxophone, Lewis is playing a saxophone, is doing these nice arpeggiated notes, filled with all these quiet moments, and he's sitting there wearing a crown. Maybe it's trying to look like Jughead, I don't know. There's this nice quiet part where the violin is being plucked really gently and is joined by the piano. The thing about this is I've never actually watched any live performances by Black Country New Road, so I didn't know what they looked like. I didn't know how good they were together. I assumed they were because it came through on the album, but I didn't know. Okay? I just didn't know. So, especially the way they're able to get these instruments to play together. They're such a band, They're not just musicians. I get that they're all, probably all classically trained. They all probably went to the East Fulham, West London Conservatory of Music and Crumpets. I don't know what, right? I'm sure they did that, right? But the way they're able to still have this emotional core and the way that the instruments play together and they join, it's unlike anything else. Because there's lots of bands that have, that play together super well, but to have such a variance of instruments from classical to rock music, it's great. Look at what we did together, BCNR, Friends Forever. That's the chorus that's sung. That's the chorus that's stuck in your head. That's where, when you leave this concert, when you turn off YouTube, oh, sorry, Bo just got his seat back. If you skipped here, you missed the drama of my dogs. If you skip here, if you walk away from this concert, this is what you have stuck in your head. And it's beautiful, and it's meaningful, and it's a little bit on the nose, and it's like, come on, you can't just sing a song about a band. But hey, Wilco did it. Wilco has a great song called Wilco, and Wilco is just Jeff Tweedy and whoever the hell he wants to work with, This is a very clear enunciation. This concert, this album, this video is about BCNR Friends Forever, including Hubert, including Isaac, who is no longer in the band. That's very clear. And it's about their happiness with what they succeeded in doing while trying to do something new. A very catchy melody. The guitar and the piano gets answered by the saxophone. This is where I hope they release this only because I can revisit it. And I just want to listen to the way the piano and the guitar are answered by the saxophone in here. There's all these great little instrumental bits. There's this swirling bit. Absolute hi-hat mastery by Wegham. I'm going to be referring to Charlie the drummer as Wegham for the entire video. And this is the thing about Black Country New Road, with or without Isaac. They have an arsenal. Anytime they want, they can drop an instrumental bomb. They can destroy their audience. Okay? It's like with my baby, My baby always laughs when I do this. Okay, 100% of the time she laughs when I do that. So I can't do it all the time. But if I really want to get my baby to laugh, okay, they can do that with the audience anytime. And the funny thing is, it's when they're instrumental. It's when they let everybody play together. It's when they get these driving, pulsing, epic, sweeping, precise, soulful moments all together. They can do it anytime they want. They could be an instrumental band and people would just be blown away. Of course, it wouldn't be quite as good because it is good to have the anchoring of singing, of words. and they can just drop the bomb. So I'm going to talk all the time about how they just drop the bomb on you, just over and over again, with these little instrumental moments, which remind you that the power of the band was never actually in the singing. The power of the band was always in the interaction between these amazing musicians. A great funky bit, they come back, Wegum is on fire. There's even a little moment where he looks down at the camera and smiles, and it reminds me of one of my favorite moments in movie history, when Willie Hall, the drummer who used to play a lot with Isaac Hayes, and he plays with the Blues Brothers in the movie The Blues Brothers. And there's a scene where Jake and Elwood are escaping next to the drum set underground, the little hole in the floor. And Willie, I think it's Willie Hall, I think he's the drummer. He looks down, he just kind of gives a little smile. It's that kind of smile, that looking down. Wegum is just on fire. This whole, I talk all the time about my favorite kinds of drummers. I call them melodic drummers, where like their drums are so good, it's like their melody. And all the way through here, Wegum is always melodic. Speaking of melody though, can we let Wegum sing? Can we do that? Can we make t-shirts? Let Wegum sing? He doesn't have any solo songs. I don't know, maybe that's better. It ends with this very sad and sweet line, I've come apart and I'm folding into two halves. This idea of the band folding and creating. Then they explain the recording, and then they go into the next song. A song called The Boy, which is sung by May, who's playing piano. And it's during the pizza show. Okay, so that's during the first show on the second night. This is where I understand. When I first saw this, I didn't understand.
What is this, Reggie?
Why is Wegum dressed up as a ghost? It's because he's the ghost who scares Lewis, who's the pizza owner. Doesn't really matter. This is interesting because when she sings it, she announces chapter headings. And this is where I wonder, like, if they had a producer, would the producer allow this to go? Like, is that too cheesy? Is it perfect? I can't quite tell. I'm not reading the lyrics, so I don't know. Maybe this is totally essential. The whole song has this cool, like, folk sound, but, from the Isles, the Anglophone sphere in Europe. Ireland, Scotland, sort of folky sounding, but mixed in with a fair amount of Bjork-style singing. Lewis is playing a flute, not a saxophone. There's so much flouting going on here. It's just flautist, flautist, flautist. There's some kind of story going on here. I can't quite pick out what it is. It's something about having a kid or not having a kid. I'm not quite clear what it is, but I will tell you, Wegum has taken the snare off of the snare drum. So a snare drum goes pop when you hit it, but if you go like this, it goes tunk. Has a very nice tunk sound. He does that just for a little bit. At a certain point, like the flute starts to pick up the rhythm. It's this very kind of like mellow song with the piano and singing, right? She's singing his wings didn't work, lying down on the ground, this Irish Bjork singing. At this point, it sounds like a drone. It sounds like bagpipes. It sounds like they're tuning. But eventually, Lewis comes in with the flute, and he starts picking up the rhythm and starts building into something. And right now, Wegum's going nuts. Wegum the ghost is just sitting there, and he's like counting. He's like trying to get things going here. And at a certain point, he just hits one cymbal once. And it reminded me of when I live near Rochester, New York, which has the second best music school in the country, Eastman Music. And every Thursday they have new music, where you get to watch new music. And new music you've never seen is just the most bizarre stuff you've ever seen. It's great, but it's very difficult. It requires a lot of sophistication to get any enjoyment out of. But one of the parts is that it's very minimalist. So there'll be like someone sitting up there, and they'll be on the stage, and they'll have a single cymbal, and it'll be an hour-long performance, and you see the guy, and he's counting, and he just hits it once. And the amount of musicianship that is required to be able to count properly and play that one note once from memory, according to people who are classically trained musicians, is intense. This kind of feels like that. But just the whole way through, Wegum provides all this energy. Who was the boy is the question. Chapter 2. Now Tyler's in. The bass is a little bit funky here. It's kind of like a shanty melody here. Her voice is so strong and so good. She might have the most sort of straightforward voice, you know what I mean? Like the most sort of ready for prime time voice. It's so strong and so good. This wanting, a single note is hit for a while until it builds up some more little tiny mini crescendos. She wants the boy, pregnancy. Chapter 3. Okay. I lied again. I did rewind once. Right as chapter 3 starts, I'm going to give you an assignment, Black Country New Road fans. Watch, the camera is just on Tyler, the bass player, and Luke, the guitarist. And the level of musicianship that's going on here, they're all playing things that are fairly complicated. They're not really looking at each other. But when you see them together on screen, you see both their hands working. It's transcendently beautiful. Just this little tiny moment. It's just 5 seconds maybe. But it's really, really fun to watch. I might have watched it 3 or 4 times. Such a band. Again, it's a band. It doesn't matter if they lost a member. It's a band. I have a prediction. I predict that Isaac is going to come back into the band as a guitarist. You solve everything. That way he gets to be with his friends, but not everyone sitting there staring at him, throwing their bras at him. You know what I mean? This is my little prediction there. Let everyone else sing, and he can just sing backup. What do I know? Gets a lot more energetic, sings about Through the Forest, makes it feel more, British. There's this point here where it's just piano and voice. There's so much going on here. I would love to review this album. I would love to review this as a release, where to analyze all the ways that there's these layers that are being brought in and out. It's just so tight, this piano and voice. Who am I to think my selfish genes should keep going on? Then the violin and drums come in. It's just so tight. Full kind of, again, Philip Glass arpeggiated notes happening here. Wegum is going nuts on the tom. Still, just a great melodic drummer. I think Charlie Wegum from Black Country New Road and Whistler from Hippocampus. I think if they got together, I think they could make an album together with just drum sets. It'd be great. Singing with multiple voices. This is where I wish I had the lyrics, but I don't. Then they hand out pizza. That's part of this whole spirit that they have here of having these small shows with tables and being at an Italian restaurant. Fazbear Freddy's. Next song is I Won't Always Love You. A real highlight. I mean, this whole thing's been a highlight so far, but this is a high highlight. This is at the prom. This looks the coolest. If they had to make one song into a music video, this is the one. Tyler's singing. She's in pearls. The look is just perfect. Tyler's my favorite singer. So I apologize to Lewis and May. I'll tell you why. Tyler's my favorite singer. I think she manages to do enough of the lead singer thing while also being the reluctant lead singer thing that does the best sort of filling in for Isaac. He had that ability too. But if I had to choose between Isaac coming back or any of these individual singers singing, I would vote for all 4 of them singing equally. I think that's actually the best answer, but it doesn't matter. But in particular, she has a certain charisma and presence here. She's a conductor with her forearm doing this chop over and over again, and the pearls and the singing, this beautiful, vulnerable voice that she has. The flute and violin are Bach-like. I know that's pretentious, but that's how I feel. The song's called I Won't Always Love You, but this doesn't feel like this is about Isaac. This feels like this is about a relationship, and she starts off saying, I will always love you, and the fragility and the strength of the voice, and at times it just feels like chamber music. And is he wearing a Dilbert tie? Dude, don't you know, Lewis, that Dilbert is canceled? He's like a totally crazy anti-vaxxer right-wing nut. Don't do advertisements for Dilbert. And then it changes to I Won't Always Love You, much like the sun won't always shine. Sorry that the lighting keeps changing in here. Tell me in the comments that you don't mind, that you just appreciate that I'm talking. Jesus. Toby. I know, it's probably Amazon or something. I'm not going to re-record, so you're going to have to deal with the barking. I'm not going to edit, because I don't edit. So when she starts in with the I won't always bit, and she does this kind of faux crying, it's just so heartfelt and so powerful. I needed you so I could learn more. Who knows what you needed me for? I mean, the thing is that because I'm intentionally not reading the lyrics that jump out have extra power. It's clear because they're not sort of buried. They're brought out front. And it's almost like she's shaking with the vibrato of crying while she's here. She's sort of the most performer here. But then the guitar comes in with the flute and the hi-hat counts down. The drums in this great, cool, weird rhythm. Then she starts playing bass and it's got so much strength. Wegum is just going super hard and cool. Let Wegum sing. And then, they can drop bombs all day, kid. Hey, kid. They can drop bombs all day, kid. They can just do an instrumental bit that makes the hair on your arm go up. They have this in their pocket. They can take it out anytime they want. This is their thing, the freedom of the instrumental bits. It's epic and it's moving. It gets kind of hard rocking. I Won't Always Love You, and the saxophone is soaring. Which leads into the first song from the Pastoral concert, which Lewis announces by asking if we are feeling pastoral. Pastoral referring to pastures, farms. He's sitting there wearing one of those little Irish hats. My father died 2 weeks ago. My father always wore hats like that. It made me emotional to see a musician I like very much singing, wearing a hat that I associate with my father. So the song is called Across the Pond, Friend. Across the Pond, Friend. This is all sung by Lewis. And this is the most interesting singing, because if you sort of like watch the band, and if you watch my interviews with them, Lewis definitely has the most lead singer energy in interviews. He's the most sort of look at me, ba-ba-da kind of guy, right? Which is, that's how I am. You know, I'm a look at me, ba-ba-da kind of guy too. But when he sings, he has this unbelievably heartbreaking, charming vulnerability. To where he believes in himself so much in so many things that he does, and he just has all this, just oozes confidence. But when he sings, it's like he is right on the line between crumbling into tears, saying, I can't do it, and then just on the other line of it, him just like, you know, kicking down the mic stand and turning into David Lee Roth from Van Halen, doing splits, you know? Like, he's right on that edge, and it comes through in the music. And again, that's why I said, like, I think I prefer Tyler. If I had to pick one, I'd pick Tyler. But having Tyler and then Lewis, it's awesome. It's a real treat. I would much rather both than just the one that I like the most. I'm such an American, trying to make a competition. I'm sitting here talking about how this is a communal band that shouldn't have a center, and I have to say there's a number one. As Ed Begley Jr. once said, I am as God made me. So, like, it's interesting because this song lyrically, so like, I think he might follow me on Instagram, or maybe I follow him, but there's a whole period of time where he was spending a lot of time, I think in America, I think with some singer who was really quite good. I remember listening to their stuff. And so this feels to me like I know what this is about. I don't talk to these guys. We don't have any one-on-one conversations, you know. I'm just some guy and they're just some people, you know. But like I did feel like he was having these really meaningful experiences making music in New York. And then there's this whole song about making music in New York. So it feels to me like I know the characters in this story. I don't. This could be about something else, okay? Maybe Charlie wrote these lyrics, right? But that's kind of how it feels. But these lyrics are so charming. And so, like, it's just about an English boy going to New York City. You know, in the last couple months, I've completely given up on American football, and I now only like association football. I don't know, it just happened to me. And so I don't really care about British football because I'm a French professor, so I support Marseille, and I don't really care who wins or doesn't win. But, you know, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm remembering in our interview, he was wearing a soccer jersey. And I don't know what the team was that he was wearing. If someone could tell me in the comments, that will be my soccer team. Whatever team he was wearing in my interview, that is my team in the Premier League, okay? Is it Fulham? Is it West Ham? Is it Bristol? I don't know. But that's the team I'm going to support. Why am I talking about that? Because seeing him wear that jersey, you know, it's a reminder that, like, musicians are just, you know, they're not international by nature. They're not international travelers by nature. That made him seem kind of childish and kind of cool, and like, you know, it must be crazy to just be some guy from some place in England and then all of a sudden be playing all over America. That must be insane. That must be like traveling to another planet, you know? And certainly the same is true in the other way. So the fact that these lyrics, as they come through, this is just everything really came through. All of the lyrics really, really came through super clearly. And it really, you just sort of get the sense of a story of somebody who's going and making connections with people. Making connections with this friend across the way. At a certain point, he doesn't hit all the notes, which is good. That's good. You don't have to hit all the notes. It's a live album. At a certain point, it cuts to a guy who's singing in the audience. This is my sort of weird love-hate relationship with superfans that the band has themselves. If you watch our interviews, you can tell. Part of the reason why I think they gave me an interview is because I really care about their music, but I'm not a super fan. Because, you know, I'm sort of like sitting there being like, Who is this dick who's singing along to unreleased music? Oh, I get it. You've seen them 47 times. And then I just realized I'm jealous. I wish I was that guy. I wish I was in a point in my life where I could see them 47 times and memorize all the lyrics to their unproduced songs. Great bit with some nice high bass notes. He sings about square bagels. It could almost be a pop song. Sings about being a guide and singing someplace about singing in Winnie's Place, which I looked up as a place in Vermont. Watched a film together. And it's this like relationship where I don't think it's romantic. It might be, but I don't think it has to be romantic. And it's funny because it's a very youthful story. You know, when I was much younger, about half of my life ago, I spent a week in the city of Bordeaux in France. And I stayed with a woman named Marianne. She was a very attractive woman. I was an attractive guy back then. But it was not romantic. We just spent a week together. I would just hang around with her and we'd walk around the city. We'd hang around with her friends who just smoked way too much hash. I mean, seriously. I mean, I've watched a lot of people smoke a lot of dope in my life. That's just a thing that I've done. Seriously. For someone who's never smoked dope, I have watched so many people. Hash in Europe, weed in America. I've seen it all. But anyways, like we had this really great time together. A very sweet, emotional time together. Totally platonic. Maybe a little sexual undercurrent that can exist between people who are attracted to the opposite sex when they're hanging around with each other. But this reminded me of that feeling of me having a friend across the pond. I wonder what happened to her. Damn, that was before like Facebook and stuff. I hope she's doing okay. Oh, you know what? I heard from my friend she got married to the guy across the hall. There was this really sweet guy across the hall who was very clearly in love with her, but she was like not quite ready to settle down yet. And so I heard that they got married. So that makes me happy. That whole thing about nice guys never win. They do. It just takes them longer. It's a longer arc. This is a song I liked the least the first time, but I loved it the second time. So I imagine the more I get used to it, the more I'll like it. Next song is called The Laughing Song, featuring Tyler on vocals. This is recorded at the Pizza Show. And, you know, again, she's doing that chopping conductor thing, and she's singing about being burned out. There's a great part here where the guitar's got a little capo going on here. I just noticed, I mean, first of all, like, they mainly play Fenders, which is awesome, because I'm going to play Fenders. I think he's playing a Strat the whole time, just like this. But she plays a Squier bass, and Squier is like the down market. That's like the cheap version of the bass. I guess she must just have an attachment to it. I imagine that her record label would buy her like the real thing. I'm so glad I did not think to ask such a stupid question when I could, you know? Because I had that interview, and that's a totally stupid question, and the answer to that question is probably not very interesting. So fortunately I didn't ask that question. This is sort of like a soft rock song. It's really quite nice. She seems to be asking, what does that say about me? It's about this relationship. I imagine it's the same relationship she was singing about before. Almost conversational lyrics, great guitar and violin, the way they go together. I want to watch it again immediately. I want to watch it right now and see the way these things go together. It builds to this crescendo. Wegham is playing this nice low flat tom. The ghost of Wegham is playing this nice low flat tom. Like the way I predict that the work they did together in Isle of Wight made him a better drummer with how he tunes his drums, because they just sound so good. I let the best person I know walk away. Right after she says that, the drums get more regular. It kind of shifts. There's like an accordion going on here. And then they do the Isaac trick, where they say the name of a different song from the album in the song. They say, I Won't Always Love You, Trousers, Turbines, Up Song. That's a thing that Isaac did. So maybe it's not an Isaac trick. Maybe it's just a Black Country New Road trick to kind of tie together a piece of music by mentioning other parts of that music. Sorry, the sun is creating all these weird reflections. You know what I'm going to do? I think I don't like the lighting on this at all. I think I'm just going to move all the way over here so that the lighting's better. There you go. There you go. That's better, right? Isn't that better lighting? Tell me it's better lighting. Or don't. Oh, wait. Now it's all like half lit. I look like I'm on that With the Beatles album cover. Okay. So, they do that Isaac trick, the callback, but it also ends up unifying the album quite a bit. There's like an accordion at times here. There's great staccato, bowed violin. The studio on the stage. And it abruptly ends. No one will ever make me laugh like that again. And then we have the intermission. Right? And the intermission here is them doing the stage design. You're starting to get an idea of where the lore came from. You see one of their dads, I think. You see them drawing paintings of Sinatra. It makes you think of Do the Right Thing and like pizza places with pictures up on the wall. You see little scenes of all these little bits of West London filling up and them getting all set up. You see them put up on the wall a son wearing sunglasses, and they're very happy about it. This is obviously a portrait of Hubert. This is a portrait of Isaac looking over them, being like their son who's gone away. I think that's what it is. Who knows? The Piccha set, as far as I can tell, has like crudely drawn drawings of Donatello Versace, Don McAvoy, I don't know who that is, Sinatra, Luigi Risotto from The Simpsons, what I thought was Erasmus, but I think it's actually Da Vinci. You get to see them making all these sets. Those paintings, by the way, man. I'm not like I'm not like one of those super fans, but that would be like my holy grail, to get one of those posters. Anyways, and it's cool because like you get the sense of everyone going to the show and all the sets are being made, and it's super cool and super sweet. And then they play the song "The Wrong Trousers." Again, this is the haunted pizza thing. This is sung by Lewis. Again, this is a Wallace and Gromit reference, but I'm not British enough to get the Wallace and Gromit reference. He's great guitar and voice. He sings really high at a certain point, and it's really nice. And he just keeps saying, we made something to be proud of. And again, we're going back to this whole theme. They're mourning and transition. This is them mourning. Some of this music is transitioning to something new. Some of it is just mourning what they lost. But like, how cool is it that they're talking about they made something great? They did. They consciously uncoupled. There's a little jazzy beat after a little small crescendo. It's really nice, kind of guitar and violin playing rhythmically together. As you grew far away from us, I knew nothing of your feelings. How on the nose can you be? I still don't like this lighting. I'm going to move up even further. What do you think about that? Huh? Am I just ruining my video by moving all over the place? That's even worse. I can't stop. By the time I'm done, I'm going to be in my own bookshelf. Let's see, what if I change the focus of lighting there? What if I do this? There you go. Now we're better. Now we're getting into the song Turbines. This is at the prom set, the second night on the first show. Second show. This is sung by May. This is the emotional heart of this whole thing. This is just an amazing performance. Piano. This is amazing. I mean, again, maybe this is the one that you want to watch if you could only watch one. May's singing is just perfect. It's a nice little small waltz. Not too late to go home now. Fly away through some turbines turning beneath me. Don't waste your pearls on me. I'm only a pig. Now I get the I'm only a pig thing. I don't have to ask.
What is this, Reggie?
I know what it is, Reggie. It's a lyric from the song. It's just gorgeous and heartbreaking. And I'm going to go out on a limb and be one of those obnoxious super fans that annoy the band so much and say they're never going to do a better version of this. They should. They should record an album. They should. They should put this on wax. This is great. Go over to Isle of Wight, record this, whatever. Record it in Abbey Road. I don't care where you record it. Okay? But there's never going to be a better version of this, I don't think. Because it has all these feelings of mourning and transformation, and it's just so well played. And Georgia joins in on the violin, and the dynamism between them is just so good, and these like weird, unsettling lyrics, blood dripping down on the broom. And then it cuts to them at a certain point, sitting at a table in an Italian restaurant, even though we're on the prom set. Is that right? It's weird. It's like a combination of the different sets. And, they're there, and there's an empty seat, and clearly they're all watching May perform the song, but at the same time, there's an empty seat for Hubert, indicating that Isaac's not there. It's very clear mourning and transformation. And then the flute comes in, the rumbling drums, and they all come in together, and then the flute and the piano, and the flute and the piano are playing what can only be described as a flight of fancy. It's actually the sound of flying. This whole thing is about flying over turbines and the pigs and all that, but it's just, and then it seems like it's going to end with just piano. You chose to float above us, floating away. Obviously, this is about Isaac floating away, and arpeggiated notes on the violin and the piano and the saxophone all at the same time, and then it becomes kind of a hard part, and then this is where Tyler's bowing the bass anytime. All day, kid. All day, kid. They can just drop these bombs on us anytime they want to. Best work with Lewis here on the melody. Just it's hard and moving and the sense of catharsis. There's almost a drum solo from Wegum over here. Extended arpeggios on the horn, piano, and violin while the guitar's doing counterpoint. Most of this, there isn't that much counterpoint, meaning like two different melodies being played at the same time. Here there is. This has the longest applause break. This is the meaning, I think, of this whole project. And it's terrific. Next song's called Dancers. This one's sung by Tyler in the pastoral set. This seems to be almost like a bitter song about like some woman who people take too seriously. Maybe she's singing about herself. I don't know. Wegum is smiling a lot here, playing sort of a Purple Haze drum beat. You know, lots of snare hits there. This line gets repeated over and over again. Besides BCNR, Friends Forever, Dancers Stand Very Still on the Stage is the most repeated, catchiest line here. Almost kind of a metal guitar part, nice rumbling bass, like open hi-hat cymbals. Just for one bar, Wegum does that to indicate that it's going to be metal, and then plays on the cymbals. Odd rhythms, always played with heart, kind of tinkling piano. There's a certain point, my favorite part of this song, one of my favorite parts of the whole performance, is where they're singing Dancers Stand Very Still on the Stage, and there's a little tinkling piano, and you just realize how thick the accent is. I'm a big fan of British accents in songs sung by British people. I love Mick Jagger, I love the Rolling Stones, but they did a real disservice when they just decided to just sing in a southern accent all the time. It's nice hearing people speaking with their real accents and singing it in. Basically, everyone joins in and sings, except for Georgia, who's playing the piano. There's these like, this is the first time I noticed there's actual clouds on the set. The lyrics are important, but I didn't catch them all. I noticed here that for this pastoral, Tyler appears to be dressed like Paul McCartney back in the early days of the Beatles, and I wonder if this isn't connected to Paul McCartney being like, I just live on the Isle of Kintyre in Scotland. I'm just a farmer with $1 billion. Woo! I don't know. All the other female voices are singing this refrain. It's beautiful. Leads us right into the end. Up song reprise on the pizza set, which makes sense because this is, I think, the one where they're most comfortable, where they're at their happiest. That's why there's 4 performances here. Tyler singing again, sax and guitar and piano. Very gentle. They don't sing Friends Forever, BCNR, but they keep saying, look at what we've done together. This is an elegy for Black Country New Road, the Isaac version. It is mourning Black Country New Road while it is transforming into Black Country New Road. I'm very happy that the guy from Black Midi did not make an appearance. I'm very happy that this does not, even though this is such a treat for superfans, that this is not one big wink and nod to some kind of circle jerky love of British windmill, whatever. It's just good art, and that's all it has to be, you know? Did I say that? Sorry. Listen, I've been talking about this album for an hour. I'm getting ready to watch Liverpool take on Madrid. I can't figure out who I want to win. I hate Madrid in theory, but they've got Benzema. He's like one of my favorite players. I don't know. And it's nice here. We have this moment where all three sets have the people bowing, and someone holds up a set list and kind of gets that excitement of the show. That's a real thing about like sort of indie bands, you know, all the super fans waiting to grab the set list at the end. That was a nice touch that made me really feel like I was there. So, you know, I asked you over and over and over again.
What is this, Reggie?
What? Why isn't it working now? How many times have I played this? It's not working anymore. Anyways, I asked you over and over and over again.
What is this, Reggie?
And I think I have the answer. I think I've answered it for you. Oh, and if you know what sketch that's from, please fill my comments with quotes from that sketch. It is from a sketch show, which I will appreciate every single reference to. Matter of fact, that is a standing rule for every single one of my videos going forward. Anytime you want to leave a comment quoting I think you should leave, I will put a heart on that, no matter what. You could do 100. Always makes me happy. You know, that's what this is. This is a moment of mourning and transformation. It is a reminder that they are, if not the best, one of the best bands in the world, and that they are very capable of writing great music and making great music without a center. These are my Patreons. They give me money, which allows me to do things like buy Black Country New Road. the song remains the different when it comes out on March 24th. So thank you very much to them. You can join me on Patreon as well and all that stuff. And thanks for watching. And thank you. There's a chance Black Country New Road is watching. Thank you for releasing this music because I never would have heard it. And now I get to hear it and I get to experience it. And even if it's through a screen, it's better than through a nothing. All right. Hey, you want to see the cosmic justice in the world? Now Bo is alone on the bed. He wasn't aggressive. He just waited for his time and he took it. Bo and Toby, friends forever. Here's the camera.